Good day. Our topic for today is about the organizational environments and cultures. So for the learning objectives or the learning outcomes, we will discuss how changing environments affect the organizations, describe the four components of the general environment, explain the five components of the specific environment, and then describe the process that companies use to make sense of their changing environment. And then last is to explain how organizational cultures are created and how they can help companies be successful. For the changing environments, different rates at which a company's specific environments change. That's what we call the environmental change. So we have the stable environment and the dynamic environment. So for the environment, we have the rate of change is low, and then for the dynamic, the rate of change is fast. We also have the punctuated equilibrium theory, wherein companies go through long periods of stability, then followed by short periods of dynamic, fundamental change, and then a equilibrium. So with the punctuated equilibrium theory, as you can see on the explanation, so there are different routes that the company is going through. So for at first, the company goes through the stability or this environment within the organization is stable, and then afterwards it becomes dynamic, and then it undergoes fundamental change, and then it has a new set of equilibrium. Okay? Then we also have the environmental complexity, wherein the number and the intensity of external factors in the environment that affect organization can be simple, or that includes few factors, or can be complex, which includes many factors. Okay? So meaning there are lots of factors that in the organization, there are lots of external factors. It those are categorized by a simple environment wherein there are only few factors affecting the organization, and then complex environment wherein there are many factors affecting environment. Also in changing environments, we have the resource scarcity. So when we say resources scarcity, this is the abundance or shortage of critical organizational resources in an external environment. So there is shortage or abundance of the critical organizational resources, okay, outside the environment of the organization. Okay, so when we say uncertainty, this is the extent to which managers can predict which external changes, trends will affect their business. Okay? So here, the managers has the capability of predicting on which external environment changes or trends or factors that may affect the business. Okay? So here in the example figure, so for the blue color, we have the representation of environmental complexity. And then for the resources, this is represented by the red color, and then environmental change for the green color. So as you can see here, there are three layers of rectangular boxes with colored blue, red, and green that signifies the environmental complexity, the resources scarcity, and the environment. Okay, and then we have here the environmental uncertainty, the low, medium, and high. Okay, so for this, when the environmental change and complexity at low levels, so as you can see here, and resources scarcity is low, okay, such as the resources are plentiful. Uncertainty is also low, and managers feel confident that they can understand, predict, and react to the external forces that affect their business. Okay, so with this kind of figure or representation, so the environment of the example organization here is low. Okay, the environmental uncertainty is low. So meaning the managers are very confident that they can be able to answer all the queries or all the problems that the company are experiencing because as a result, they only have low environmental complexity, low resources scarcity, and low environmental change. Okay? And that is equivalent into low uncertainty. For the medium, so everything in the middle, environmental characteristics, the environmental complexity, the resources scarcity, and the environmental change at medium environmental uncertainty. Okay, so everything goes in the middle. Okay, for this example, and then we have here another example. Wherein the environmental complexity, the resources scarcity, and the environmental change it goes high in the manner of seeing the environmental uncertainty here. So when environmental change and complexity are there, and resources scarcity is high also. So the resources are scarce, uncertainty is high, and managers may not be at all confident that they can understand, predict, and handle the external forces affecting the environment or their businesses. So with this, even as we hear the word high, it is not good for the situation of the organization because meaning when there is a high level of environmental uncertainty, again, it means that the managers may not be at all confident, okay, that they can understand, predict, and handle the external forces affecting their businesses. So maybe they have problems in communication, in processing all the operations within the organization. So that's why the level of uncertainty or the environmental uncertainty is very high as well. Okay, so let's go back to the definition of environmental complexity. So again, when we say environmental complexity, the number and the intensity of external factors in the environment that affect the organization may be simple or complex. Okay? So when we say simple, it has or includes few factors. When it is complex, it includes many factors. Factors affecting the organization, lots of external factors. So for the resources scarcity, it means it can be, the resources can be abundant or short. Okay, so when we say resources scarcity, abundance or shortage of critical organizational resources in an external environment. So when we say uncertainty, this is the extent on how the managers can predict which external changes and trends may affect or will affect their businesses. Okay, so for the general and specific environment, so as you can see in the picture, we have here the general environment outside the organization. So outside the organization, we have the social-cultural trends, the technology, the political and legal trends, and then the economy. And then inside the environment, we have, or inside the organization, we have the specific environment, Okay, so for the specific environment, we have the groups, the industry regulations, the suppliers, okay, the customers, the competition, and then at the middle is the organization. Okay, so again, we have general environment and specific environment for an organization. Okay, let's discuss one by one the general environment components. We have the economy. So for the consumers in growing economy have more money to spend, and then shrinking economy have less money to spend. So for the perspective of consumers, when we say economy, when the economy is growing, meaning they have more, or consumers have more money to spend. And then when the economy is shrinking, meaning consumers have less money to spend. So just like what happened today, during we have experiencing, or now that we are experiencing the COVID-19 pandemic. So prior to this modified general community quarantine, we have different categories of quarantine that we have experienced in the past. So we have the strict general community quarantine, we have the uh, general community quarantine, different levels. So prior to the situation, the economy is shrinking. Okay? So people do not have money to spend because they do not have work. So as the company, as would like to sustain or people means of living, uh, the while the economy is closed, no? So the economy becomes weaker and weaker. And then now that we are in the modified community quarantine, one by one or slowly, the economy is growing because there are openings for restaurants, businesses, and hotel accommodation businesses as well. For the business confidence indices, this shows managers' level of confidence about future business growth. So for large companies, we have the Conference Board CEO Confidence Index, wherein the largest measurement is 100. Okay, and then for the small business, we have here the example from the Wall Street Journal this page. They have the CEO survey. Okay. Okay, for the other component for the general environment, we have the technology. So for the technology, as we all know, the world today, or our businesses today, the hospitality industry, facilities, and other businesses doing hospitality are being run by technology. And we also, even though we have the COVID-19 pandemic, we are able to continue. So the technology means the knowledge, the tools, and techniques used to transform inputs into outputs. It's also very important in the operations of different businesses. Okay? The technological changes also help companies to provide better products and to produce products more efficiently. Okay? And then companies should use new technology to improve their products and services. So technology also involve or includes the not only the not only the internet or the internet connectivity, but as well as with the equipment, different organizations and different businesses in order to uh, transform all the inputs into outputs, and then in order also to improve their products and services. We also have the sociocultural. This includes the demographic characteristics, the general behavior, attitude, beliefs of people in a particular society. Then this also involves the changes in demographic characteristics that affect how companies staff their businesses. Also, includes the changes in behavior, attitudes, and beliefs also affect the demand for a business product and services. And then we have here the example for the social-cultural factor. Okay. Okay, so this is the percentage of married women with children who work. So from 1960, only 18.6% of women with children under 6 years old and 39% of women with children between the ages of 6 and 17 are working. And then in 2010, those percentages had to 61.6% and 76.7% respectively. And then for the social cultural changes like this affect the demand for products and services. Okay, so during the historical ages, no, women are just at home doing household chores while their husbands are working. But today, to this new era, so women are also working. Then up to, for this example, up to 2010, so the percentage for the working women with children had risen, no, for 76.7%. Then especially with this, so this is just for 2010. So expectedly as the year uh, rising, so also the percentage of the married women who are working with children also are going up. Okay. So why do you think that the percentage of married women are going up as the year passes by? So because of social cultural components of the general environment. So as they see women working, also having the or being inspired to work as well. And as they see women are allowed to work as men, so many women or many mothers are also wanted to experience this kind of uh, to have this kind of job. That's why the percentage of uh, married women with children who are working are also going through. So that's because of social cultural element of the general environment. Okay. And then we also have the political and legal. So for this, of course, uh, in order for business to run, they need to follow legislation, the regulations, the laws. That's why it's called political and legal that govern and regulate business behavior. So for here in Tagaytay City, for the hotels and restaurants, the city government have their policy to accept or to prioritize City College of Tagaytay graduates to be hired in their establishment. So, of course, the businesses, the hotels and restaurants should follow the policy of the city government. That's why many or high percentage of the uh, City College affiliated graduates are employed after they graduated. And managers must be aware of the laws, the regulations, and potential lawsuits that could affect their business. And so another example is the situation of the uh, pandemic, no, the COVID-19 pandemic. Even the IATF have the regulations of opening the restaurants and hotels. They need to the Department of Tourism regulations on how many percentage or how many guests are just to accept in their businesses, then as operating time, also the sanitation requirements of the restaurant, then as well as the facility. They also add some uh, amenities or facility or equipment in order to follow the regulation of the government. Okay? So that's for the political and legal components of the general environment. And then for the components of the specific environments, we have the customers, competitors, suppliers, the industry regulation, and the advocacy group. Okay, for the customers, they are the ones who purchase some services. Then the competitors are the companies in the same industry that sell similar products or services to customers. So for the suppliers, they are the companies that provide material, human, financial, and informational resources to the companies. And then for the industry regulation, these are rules that govern the business practices and procedures. And the advocacy group, they are the concerned citizens that band together to try to influence the business practices. Okay, for the customer component, we have different kinds of customer monitoring. We have the reactive and then the proactive customer monitoring. So for the reactive customer monitoring, this is the identification and addressing customer trends and problems after they occur. Okay? And then for proactive customer monitoring, identifying and addressing customer needs, trends, and issues before they occur. For the example, so today we are experiencing the pandemic, and so no one knows on whether the COVID-19 pandemic will come no, during the first quarter of the year. So everybody is very active in terms of customer monitoring because they do not know that COVID-19 virus or illness will come, okay, in our country. So most especially the hospitality businesses, no? We are uh, reactive about on how to do, on what to do in terms of continuing their businesses, in terms of will the customer come dine in or how are we going to sustain the business? We do not have customers, so everybody is reactive about uh, what to do or about customer monitoring the 19 pandemic comes in our country. And then as the COVID-19, as the COVID-19 pandemic continue to be here in our country without cure, no, for now. So we are companies are all proactive about on how to deal with it and how to um, treat customers on how to strategize for the for their businesses in order for them to have profit or for the business to become profitable. So they are proactive in some manner and also they are also proactive in customer monitoring. So they are now preparing for whatever it is that will happen, you know, with this situation today. Next we have the competitors. They are the companies in the same industry that sell similar products or services. And then we have here the competitive analysis, wherein this Just of monitoring the competition that involves identifying competition, anticipating their moves, and determining their strengths and weaknesses. So, in all businesses, it is very challenging to have competitors, even it is considered as direct competitor, meaning same or similar products and services offerings, or indirect competitors, wherein we are considered to be your competitors because they can also get your market, but they have different products and services offered. And then, in order to analyze or in order to know what to do, in terms of having profit while having competitors, even you have lots of competitors, we have here the competitive analysis. No, you need to monitor competition to identify them, anticipate what are their strategies, and determine their strengths and weaknesses. And this is all for your business improvement. The next, we have the supplier component, companies that provide material, human, financial, and informational resources to other companies. So we have, or we need to select suppliers that have this following behaviors, or we need to know suppliers who have the following behaviors. So we need to know who are suppliers that are opportunistic, or that has opportunistic. When we say opportunistic behavior, one party benefits at the expense of the other. And then also we need to identify suppliers that has the following behavior. For this is the relationship behavior that focuses on establishing a mutually beneficial long-term relationship between buyers and sellers. So of course, among the two, we will select this one, or we will select supplier that has this kind of behavior, that is focusing on mutually benefits, mutual benefits, and they want to have long-term relationship between us and them, as suppliers. Okay. So for the industry regulation component, we have the Consumer Product Safety Commission, Department of Labor, Environmental Protection Agency, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, Federal Communications Commission, the Federal Reserve System, the Federal Trade Commission, the Food and Drug Administration, the National Labor Relations Board, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, and the Securities and Exchange Commission. Okay. For the advocacy group, they are the concerned citizens who band together to try to influence the businesses or the business practices of specific industries, businesses, and professions. Okay. Public communication involves voluntary media coverage, wherein they are inviting or they are being invited for public relations. For the media advocacy, this is more aggressive. And then product boycott, this means not buying product and services. So this also affects the business environment or company, or the organization, because when this group of citizens or this advocacy group move that they have bad intentions to your company, they have these activities in order to uh, disband your organization, or in order to make you uh, make your business bankrupt. They might do this. But if the purpose is for your business to become known and profitable because you offer them products and services that satisfies them and have high quality or are all standards, they might do this for positive purposes. So this is very also to consider. So that's why we need to satisfy our customers to exceed their satisfaction or expectations from us as business organization, specifically in hospitality industry. Okay, so making a sense of changing environments. Okay, there are three-step process employed by managers. We have the environmental scanning, that is about searching the environment for important events that might affect an organization or optimizes performance, and then interpreting environmental factors. So we need to identify the threats in order to this, and then opportunity in order to optimize the event, and then decide how to act on threats and opportunities. Okay. Next is creation and maintenance of organizational cultures. Company founders create organizations with their images by imprinting companies with their beliefs and values. Okay? And then for the organizational culture, these are values, beliefs, and attitudes shared by organizational members, sustained with organizational stories and heroes. Yeah. For the organizational stories, this makes sense of organizational events, emphasize culturally consistent assumptions, decision, and act. Then organizational heroes, people admired for their qualities and achievements within an organization. So that's why whenever we are having our first job, the first thing that the company do is to have an orientation or to tell us the story on how or of the humble beginnings of the um, company. But in order to build the organizational culture, as we experience to work in that organization or in that company, we are able to experience or to see the organization that is built within the organization. So these are sustained by the organizational stories, and then for that organizational stories, so they are called the organizational heroes. Okay, next we have the successful organizational cultures. So these are the factors that influence successful cultures. We have the adaptability, okay, and the involvement. Okay, so when we say adaptability, this is the quality of being able to adjust to new conditions. So now we are experiencing uh, the pandemic. So everybody is being adaptable to what is happening, and we are exercising, or we are doing everything in order to get into this situation. So we are fond of wearing our face shields and face masks when we're going outside. So we are being adaptable to the environment. We are now conscious about the cleanliness, washing of hands. We are very conscious uh, on if we are going to hold a certain thing, if dirty or not. So we are more conscious about our safety nowadays. So we are adaptable. And then also one of the factors is clear mission and consistency. And then based on the above factors, help companies achieve higher sales growth, return on assets, okay, profits, quality, and of course, employee satisfaction. Okay, these are the three levels of organizational culture. So firstly, so we see symbolic artifacts such as dress codes, workers and managers' behaviors, and then what other people say or what people say. And then next we hear that. So the expressions or the values of the values and beliefs. So this is where how decisions are made and being explained, and then widely shared assumptions and beliefs are also being heard. And then we have the level of educational culture, which is focused on the unconscious assumptions and beliefs that are being absorbed or buried deep below surface, discussed or thought about. So this is how the organizational culture sinks in an individual or in an employee. Okay? Firstly, those culture are being seen and then heard and then believed. Okay. Next, changing organizational cultures. In order to change that, we need to have this behavior and then substitution of behavior, the change of visible artifacts, and then hiring people with values and beliefs consistent with desired culture. So if you see that the organization culture is not good, or you have negative vibes whenever you come into the job or into your organization, in order to change that, maybe you need to change your behavior and then to substitute it with more positive behavior. Then you need to change yung visible artifact, the way you dress, the way you talk, and then hiring people with values and beliefs that consistent with the desired culture. So maybe you need to hire someone that is from the outside in order to see what is to be changed. Okay. Next. Okay. To summarize the discussion, okay, we discussed the changing environments that affects environmental uncertainty, and then also the general environment that consists of the economy, technological, social, cultural, and political or legal trends that indirectly affect all the organizations. And then the components of specific environment, which are the customer, competitor, supplier, industry regulation, and advocacy groups. And then we also discussed the steps to understand changes in the external environment, which are the environment, interpreting environmental factors and acting on threats and opportunities. And then the factors that influence successful cultures, the adaptability, involvement, and clear mission and consistency. Okay, here are the following terms to remember. Okay. So I add here some videos about the organizational culture. Kindly watch the videos. And the other video is about the environmental or organizational. So for your takeaways, kindly include the assumption or the assessment, the explanation about the video, and then also your assessment or your learning our discussion. Okay, so I hope you learned something from our discussion for today. Okay, so thank you very much and stay safe, everyone.